Hello everyone, welcome to another session of Perspective 360 Degree, where we are going to do current affair based answer writing practice in a detailed and structured manner. And as a part of today's session, we are going to discuss RBI Annual Report, but from descriptive point of view. Before we begin the session, if you want to download the PDF with respect to this session, you can go and join our Telegram channel, and from there you can download the PDF easily. Now, as far as the session is concerned, if you want to see the full analysis with respect to RBI Annual Report, it has already been taken by Kritika ma'am, and you can see I have attached the thumbnail over here. So you can go and watch this session if you want to see the full analysis. But as far as this session is concerned, we are going to primarily focus upon the important areas with respect to RBI Annual Report for the descriptive paper. And this is going to be the agenda with respect to this session. As a part of this session, we are going to discuss 3 questions, and when the session ends, we will provide you a homework question also that of course you have to write in the comment box, and the answer will be evaluated by our team. Fine. So I hope it is clear to you. Now this is our first question for today, but before we do that, this is the blueprint that you need to follow while writing your answer. You will have to divide your answer into introduction, the body, and the conclusion. And as I always say, introduction should be around 10 to 12% of the total word limit, and the same rule applies to the conclusion also. Rest of the word limit you have to dedicate to the body part, where you'll write your body in the form of different headings and as well as subheadings. And you should always try to give some data, facts and examples as a part of value addition. So I hope it is clear to you, and this is our first expected question for today as far as the RBI Annual Report is concerned. So the question is, with reference to the RBI Annual Report 2024 to 25, evaluate the performance of the Indian economy during the year and examine the major measures taken by the RBI to safeguard financial stability. In order to discuss the introduction and the first part of the body, I would like to call Kritika ma'am. She is going to start from here.
Okay.
Please, ma'am.
So here, see, the question is in regards to the RBI Annual Report. So all the questions are in regards to the RBI Annual Report. Okay. So first we will evaluate the performance of the Indian economy. And if you have seen the annual report session, so in the annual report session, you must have known that in the first part, the annual report specifies all the important data points regarding the economy, regarding the domestic economy as well as the global economy. So here we have to focus on the Indian economy in the domestic economy. Okay. And the second part of the question is regarding the measures undertaken by the Reserve Bank of India to safeguard the financial stability. So the answer or the main body should consist of the answers for both these part, right? Now before starting with the answer, just give me a thumbs up if everything is going fine, and let's be more interactive in the session. So starting with the introduction. So see, the RBI Annual Report 2024-25, it provides a comprehensive overview, as there is a particular part in the annual report which specifies the data points for the economy, for the Indian economy. Okay, so the Indian economy has demonstrated resilience, supported by robust domestic demand, strong macroeconomic fundamentals and prudent policy interventions that have been taken. Okay. The real GDP growth moderated to 6.5% in 2024-25 as compared. Now, the data point. In the introduction itself, a data point has been mentioned here. So, the real GDP growth has moderated to 6.5%. So, that is a negative point. But India remained the fastest growing major economy. So, you can understand that the negative point was there, but this is a very positive aspect that we have mentioned in the introduction. Now, coming to the Reserve Bank of India has played a pivotal role while maintaining monetary and financial stability. Okay, so here the first body part or the first part of the body is that the performance of the Indian economy we have to evaluate, right? So we have in the introduction, we have mentioned about the important data point. Now coming to the body part, that is the performance of the Indian economy. So first of all, the real GDP data we have mentioned before. So now we will take the data for the GVA, that is the gross value addition, that shows the production side. So the real GVA growth, the growth that has happened in the total production, the total supply in our country, that has grown by 6.4% as compared to 8.6% a year ago. So you can see a moderation has come in the growth in the real GVA. Okay, the gross value addition has grown, the production has grown by a lesser percentage. The agriculture sector, now agriculture sector, you can see that there is a boost that has come in the agriculture sector, and it grew more as compared to the 2023-24. So in 2024-25, the growth in GVA was at 4.6%. That was higher than 2.7% previously. Now industrial sector, the main problem was in the industrial sector, as the industrial sector has only grown by 4.3%. that is very less as compared to the 11% of the growth that was seen in 2023-24. So in the 2023-24 there was 11% of the growth in the industrial sector, while in the 2024-25 there was only 4.3% of growth in the industrial sector. That was mainly because of the deceleration. That means the growth was very less in the manufacturing gross valuation. So the manufacturing sector has seen the growth but by a very less percentage, so that affected the industrial sector, which grew but by a lesser percentage, that was only 4.3%. Now services sector is the major chunk in the gross value addition. The total production, out of the total production, 64.1% share goes to the service sector. So major chunk in our country is coming from the service sector. Okay. Now the growth in the service sector was 7.5%, so that was good. Coming to the climate change action, so we are talking about the performance of the Indian economy. So we have seen the gross value addition, the production side. Now coming to the climate change action. So India was among the top 10 high performance for the 6th year in a row since 2020 in the climate change performance index. We performed very well in the adaptation and mitigation for the climate change. Okay. Now inflation. You can see that the inflation has moderated. The inflation has reduced from 5.4% in the 2023-24 to 4.6% during 2024-25. Now employment, if you see the employment data, the unemployment, if you talk about the unemployment rate, that has remained at a low percentage, that has remained unchanged in 2023-24. Same as 2022-23. Okay, so the unemployment rate remained unchanged in 2023-24, such as the 2022-23 it remained at 3.2%. that is lower percentage if we compare it with the previous years. So this is the performance of the Indian economy. Okay, next there was also, so this is the performance. Now coming to the body part 2, just this part I will explain you because this is regarding the monetary policy, and then Jaskaran sir will explain you the other measures taken by the RBI. So the measures taken by the RBI to ensure financial stability. So in this, see what happened, that in October 2024 it was announced that the RBI is not growing very well. Okay, we have seen that the real GDP growth was by 6.5% as compared to 9.2% in the previous year. So this was announced. So it was seen that the growth rate is going lower in our country, and that's why it was said that the Reserve Bank of India has to increase the liquidity in the economy, has to increase the money supply in the economy, because with more money supply there will be more demand. With more demand there will be more production that will happen and more growth that will happen. Okay, so in October 2024 the RBI changed its stance from the withdrawal of accommodation to neutral. In October 2024, now the RBI said that we are neutral, we might increase the repo rate, decrease the repo rate, or keep the repo rate constant. So the stance was changed, but it was in February 2025 that for the first time after a huge time period, it was in February 2025 that the repo rate was decreased by 0.25% from 6.5% to 6.25%, and again in April 2025 the repo rate was further decreased from 6.25% to 6%. Okay, so this is the idea that monetary policy operations were done. It was seen that there is liquidity crunch that is coming in the country, and that's why the repo rate was decreased, because as the repo rate is decreasing, the interest rate is decreasing in the economy. With lesser interest rate, there is more loans that are taken, there is more demand, more production in the country, so more growth. As well as the CRR, the cash reserve ratio of the banks was reduced to 4%. So the CRR was also reduced from 4.5% to 4% in December 2024 to increase the liquidity in the economy, to increase the money supply in the economy. Okay, so these were the monetary policy actions. In October 2024, remember that the stance was changed from withdrawal of accommodation to neutral. February 2025, the repo rate was decreased from 6.5% to 6.25%, and CRR was decreased from 4.5% to 4%. Okay, this is the idea. Now, Jaskaran sir.
Yes, now let us move on to the second point. So I hope the first point is clear to you, which is precisely regarding the monetary policy, how it was able to stimulate the economy, a very important step taken by the RBI in order to ensure the financial stability. Now moving on to point number 2. The point number 2 is related to credit delivery and financial inclusion. So over here also RBI has taken different types of steps in order to promote financial inclusion as well as the financial literacy. So for example, if we talk about the first point, as highlighted in the RBI annual report, it says that basically RBI enhanced collateral free agriculture loans limit, where the agriculture loan limit for the collateral free loans, basically it was raised from rupees 1.6 lakh to 2 lakh per borrower. Fine. So this is, I would say, a very important, a very significant step that the RBI has taken in order to promote the credit availability to the farmers. The second point is regarding, I would say, the national strategy for financial inclusion. So basically, as a part of national strategy for financial inclusion, RBI highlighted different kinds of points, and as a part of this national strategy of financial inclusion, the RBI also releases the financial inclusion index. Now, when we talk about financial inclusion index, basically it includes 3 types of sub indices. The first is the extent of financial inclusion depending on the axis. The second is usage, and the third is quality. Now, as far as this FI index or the financial inclusion index is concerned, basically it has been witnessed that it has been improved as highlighted in the RBI report, and it has been improved from 60.1%, so sorry, 60.1 in March 2023 to 64.2 in March 2024, which is a good sign. Fine. Now, another important type of initiative, which I would say is more towards the awareness with respect to financial literacy, and it is regarding Financial Literacy Week. If you remember the Friday session that I conducted with respect to financial inclusion, over there also I discussed this point, that Financial Literacy Week was observed between February 24 to 28th, and the theme was with respect to women's prosperity, with the focus on creating financial awareness among women. So this is again a very important initiative in order to boost the credit delivery and financial inclusion as a part of RBI's initiative. The next point is regarding the regulation, supervision and financial stability. And over here, what the RBI has done, RBI has created different kinds of repositories. Fine. So repository was launched on May 28, 2024. Now, what is the job of this repository? Basically, the thing is that the different kind of fintech institutions that are there, fine, these fintech institutions, they keep on adopting different kind of technologies. For example, artificial intelligence, fine, for example, cryptocurrency, for example, cloud computing, different type of technologies are there. Now, as a part of this repository, what the RBI is going to do, RBI will keep on collecting this kind of information. For example, this is fintech company 1, then fintech company 2, fintech company 3, whatever technologies, whatever advancements that they are doing, so that the RBI can keep a track on them and can eventually promote innovation in a long run. And that is the job of this first type of repository, which is basically the fintech repository. A similar type of repository has been created for the regulatory entities also, which basically means primarily banks, and that repository is known as MTech repository. You need to remember these keywords so that you can add it as a part of your answer in terms of value addition. Now, another type of repository has also been created with respect to the climate risk assessment, and the name of this repository is RBCRIS, which basically means, which is a data repository for climate risk information system. Now, for example, just for the sake of example, let us say the temperature is increasing in our country. So what is going to happen because of that? Don't you think if the temperature is going to get increased up to a huge extent, the agriculture sector is going to get impacted? The answer is yes. So this kind of data is going to be recorded as a part of this RBI CRIS. Fine. So this is just one example. So based on different type of parameters, the RBI is going to collect the climate risk assessment data as a part of this RBI CRIS repository. I hope this point is also pretty much clear to all of you. Now, a very simple point, which is regarding the global hackathon Harbinger 2024, which is of course to promote the innovation. And you need to remember the 2 themes that are there with respect to it. The first is the zero financial frauds, and the second is being Divyang friendly. So these are the themes that you need to remember as a part of this global hackathon Harbinger 2024. Now the last part is the conclusion part. So how you can write the conclusion of this answer. So the Indian economy in 2024 to 2025 exhibited resilience and steady growth despite global uncertainties. The RBI's proactive and multi-pronged approach, ranging from calibrated monetary policy. So first point was monetary policy. If you remember, so what we are trying to do, we are trying to summarize things. first point as a part of the solution was with respect to monetary policy to strengthen regulatory oversight and financial inclusion initiatives. We have summarized everything as a part of the conclusion, and later on what we can write a small way forward. So what is the way forward? The way forward is that sustained policy vigilance and structural reforms will be essential to navigate evolving global challenges and to reinforce India's position as a stable and dynamic economy. So this is something that you can write as a part of your conclusion. So now Kritika ma'am is going to take the next question.
Okay, so now coming to the next question. So this first question, I hope you have got the answer, and this is very important question. So now coming to the next question, that is in regards to your fintech. Okay, so discuss the key initiatives undertaken by the Reserve Bank of India to foster the fintech innovation, the financial technology innovation in India in 2024-25. What are the major challenges confronting the fintech sector? So that we have to tell. Okay, so in the introduction, first we have to inform that okay, in our country the fintech evolution is happening, and that is helping the financial sector of our country. So rapid evolution of fintech has transformed the landscape of the financial services, but still there are certain challenges that are present, because challenges were mentioned in the question that we have to inform about the challenges also. So in the introduction itself, we have informed about both the parts of the question, that challenges and the actions have been taken by the RBI. Okay, so we are showing in the introduction that we are going to talk about the challenges in the body, as well as we are going to talk about the initiatives of the RBI in the body. So this is how you can write the introduction, where you are tackling both the parts of the question, so that the examiner is aware about that you have understood the keywords in the question. Coming to key initiative by RBI to foster fintech innovation. So there are various initiatives that the RBI has taken, in which RBI has utilized the fintech, the financial technology, and RBI has further boosted the usage of the financial technology. Okay, so first of all, CBDC, that is your the central bank digital currency. R means retail, so this is for the retail, that is for person to person transactions or for the person to merchant transaction. In this, there is further update that is happening, that the RBI is introducing, or RBI is like doing the research and has rolled out the multiple pilots exploring the offline usage of the central bank digital currency and the programmability feature that will help the Reserve Bank of India and the government to use this central bank digital currency for the specific use cases, for the designated use cases through which the subsidies can go directly, or let's say you get some coupons that you can only use in the ration shops, or you are getting food vouchers, or let's say you are getting LPG cylinder vouchers. So this CBDC can work as the specific use case or designated. So this CBDC, if you are getting it from the government for getting the fertilizers, so now this CBDC will have the programmability that will have the designated use case. You will only be able to use this for the fertilizer, or you will only be able to use it for the LPG cylinder, or you will only be able to use it for which the government has provided it to you. So this is the programmability feature that the RBI is developing in the CBDC, so that the government can provide the subsidies through the CBDC also, and that will go for the particular use case that the government wants. Okay, so the bilateral cross-border CBDC pilot. So the Reserve Bank of India is like, it is connecting with the other countries, so that there can be the cross-border CBDC pilots that can happen. Like we have the UPI in so many countries now, or so many countries are accepting the unified payment interface of our country. Similarly, we want the CBDC interaction also with the other countries. So there is cross-border CBDC pilots with select countries, so that we have the connection and we have the innovation that can further happen in the CBDC. Okay, and the cross-border transactions can happen in the central bank digital currency. Next is development of the unified lender interface. So see, if one lender, that is a bank, is connecting with the account aggregators to get the information, or the bank is connecting with the credit bureaus to get the information about the credit rating and such, and the bank is connecting with the other banks and such to get the information, so it becomes very hectic, and all the banks will have to connect with the credit bureaus, account aggregators and such. So they will have to develop the system. But now the RBI has said that this is the unified lending interface. This is a platform that will help the bank to get connected with the different account aggregators, the different data service providers directly through the system. So the different banks will not have to make the different ecosystem to connect with the different entities. Just get enrolled in this unified lending interface, and you will get the access to the account aggregators, credit bureaus that are enrolled in this platform. So this is the idea, that the unified lending interface that was previously called the public tech platform for frictionless credit. So this is ULI. This is an enterprise grade, very reliable open architecture platform which connects lenders and the data service providers by eliminating the need for multiple bilateral agreements and interactions by banks. The ULI streamlines the credit assessment. The credit assessment can happen easily if someone wants to borrow. So the credit rating, if you want to get that, what is the credit rating of this person, it is very easy to achieve that. Okay, and decision making by enabling access to diverse area of data. So diverse area of data can be accessed by the banks, NBFCs and such entities that lend very easily if they just connect with this ULI. So the banks will not have to do one-to-one connections. The bank can just enroll in this ULI. So the bank can get the data access for all the from all the different entities. Okay, so this is a very good system. Okay, next key initiative is your SRO. So self-regulatory organizations, as I have discussed it with you very much of the time, that SRO, they are the linkage between the Reserve Bank of India and the regulated entity. So SRO for the fintech sector will work as the linkage between the fintech companies and the Reserve Bank of India. So if RBI is bringing some new regulations, the SRO will be able to inform the fintech companies that okay, this is the new regulation that is coming up and how the fintech companies can use or can follow this regulation. If the fintech company has some problem, so SRO can take this problem to the Reserve Bank of India. So SRO has become the third party in between the two major segments in our country. Okay, that is the regulator and the regulated entity. So framework for recognizing SRO for fintech sector, this was released by the Reserve Bank of India, and the phase, that is the Fintech Association for Consumer Empowerment, has been recognized as the SRO fintech. Very important. Okay, next is Reserve Bank launched the third edition of its annual global hackathon. So Harbinger 2024, sir has also told you about Harbinger 2024. So this is a hackathon. Hackathon means that here the problem statements are given and the RBI is asking for the innovators to do some innovation on this problem statement. So zero financial frauds and the being Divyang friendly, under these two themes there were the problem statements that were given on which the solution was asked from the innovators. So this is a kind of hackathon. Okay, to get the innovations. So this is a key initiative by the RBI to foster the fintech innovation, to foster the innovation by helping the innovators and by getting the innovations from the innovators. And there were other steps that were taken by the Reserve Bank of India, like the free AI, that is framework for responsible and ethical enablement of AI, so that the banks and NBFCs, they use the AI but they use it in a very prudent manner, so that the artificial intelligence is not like there is no data breach that is happening and such. Okay, global conference was done on digital public infrastructure and emerging technologies. There was the MuleHunter.ai. This was launched, or this was the initiative by the Reserve Bank Innovation Hub. This is very important initiative that we have discussed a lot of time. This MuleHunter AI will help in hunting the mule accounts. The mule accounts, these are the accounts that are used in the money laundering. Okay, so this is a very important initiative by the Reserve Bank of India. So RBI is doing the initiatives as well as RBI is fostering the initiatives also and the innovations also. Okay, so this is the idea. Now coming to the body part 2 that Jaskran sir will discuss with you.
So the body part 2 is regarding the challenges faced by the fintech sector as asked in the question. And the first challenge is related to changing regulatory environment. Now we know that with the advancement of time, the regulatory environment is also getting changed because the fintech sector is adopting different kinds of technologies. And when the different kinds of technologies are adopted, the challenges also start getting diverse. For example, challenges related to the adoption of cryptocurrency, or it can be related to cloud computing. Different kinds of challenges are there, the complex challenges. So that could be the first type of point that you can write under the challenges faced by the fintech sector. So the fintech sector operates in rapidly changing regulatory environment, and in order to keep up with technological advancements and emerging risks, they must continually adapt to these challenges, which can be resource intensive as well as a complex process. The second point is regarding the technological integration. Now what do you mean by that? For example, let us say there is a lending company. Just for the sake of example, let us say you must have heard about Zest Money. Zest Money gives consumer loans. Now let us say there is this lending company. Now this lending company wants to lend you money, and for that it wants to check your credit worthiness, and you are a borrower. And in order to check the credit worthiness of a borrower, what it has to do, it has to collect different kinds of information. For example, the credit history. For example, the KYC documents. Fine. For example, it can be related to other such kind of documentation things that are required to verify your identity. So in order to obtain credit history, it will go to the bank. In order to verify the KYC, it will go to the government. And in order to verify X, Y, Z type of documents, it will have to reach different kind of authorities. Do you think it is a well technologically integrated process? The answer is no, because the data is basically present in an isolated form. The data is not very much integrated, and that is why it is a very important challenge by fintech sector, because what fintech sector have to do, they have to get access to different kinds of information from different type of sources, and in order to make this process more feasible, we need a well technologically oriented integrated platform, and that is what this point aims to highlight. Fine. So let me just rub it. So basically the point says that there are diverse type of data. For example, it can be in different formats. Some type of data can be in the form of CSV, some type of data can be in the form of JSON, fine, XML, different type of data are there. So we need to provide a platform where all this information, all this type of data is present in a well integrated manner, so that basically we can address both compatibility as well as complexity as a part of it. The third point is very obvious and very easy to understand. Wherever the technology is coming, there will be obvious challenges with respect to the cyber security. So cyber attack, data breaches, they are very, I would say, important challenges that are there, again faced by the fintech sector, and very easy to understand. Point number 4. Point number 4 is regarding the consumer trust. Now, the thing is that as a part of the fintech technology, you will have to share a lot of information with them. It can be in different type of data. And there is always some sort of threat with respect to privacy, with respect to misuse of data. So consumers are very much concerned about it. So in order to develop the trust with the consumer, this is also itself a big challenge, because consumer is the, I would say, one of the most important stakeholders as a part of this entire fintech ecosystem. So this is also another challenge that has to be addressed with respect to trust deficit, and also with respect to transparency issues, because if the transparency is not there, then of course the trust deficit is going to get increased. So that is another type of point that you need to understand. And the last point is related to financial inclusion. So basically we need to promote initiatives that are able to boost the financial inclusion in our country through the fintech sector, because if the fintech technology is there, but if the mobile phones are not there, if the internet connection is not there with the consumers, how they will be able to reap the benefits of the financial inclusion and of course of the fintech ecosystem? So that itself is a very important challenge with respect to the fintech ecosystem. Last, we have the conclusion part. So basically RBI continued to play a proactive and enabling role in shaping a vibrant ecosystem through various initiatives, and these measures have encouraged responsible innovation while balancing systemic stability. However, what are the challenges? The fintech sector still faces challenges of different types that of course we have already discussed as a part of the body, and addressing these issues through collaborative policy making, capacity building and robust risk framework will be critical to sustaining trust and fostering inclusive innovation-led financial growth in India. So that can be something that you can write as a part of your conclusion. Now moving on to the third question as a part of RBI Annual Report. Please, ma'am.
So now coming to the third question. So here, see, discuss. Now the third question is regarding your payment and settlement system. That is a very important question again. So we have brought the three very important questions. Now this is the third and the last one. So discuss the key trends in payment and settlement system. So the data points you have to mention that how the UPI growth has happened and how the growth in the NEFT system, RTGS system or the retail payments or the payment and settlement system has happened. So you have to tell the key trends in the payment and settlement system witnessed during the financial year 2024-25. Additionally, highlight the regulatory measures undertaken during the financial year 2024-25 by the Reserve Bank of India in the payment and settlement system. So again, there are two parts in the question, and always remember to answer both the parts, then only you will get the marks for both the parts, right? So first we will discuss the key trends and then we will discuss the regulatory measures. Okay, now starting with the key trend, before that coming to the introduction. So India's payment and settlement system has witnessed remarkable transformation in the recent years. We have seen the transformation in UPI, the usage of RTGS and NEFT has increased and such. Okay, the Reserve Bank of India is focused on expanding the digital payment adoption across all segments, and we are trying to move away from the cash economy towards the digital economy, right? So now starting with the key trends in payment and settlement system witnessed during financial year 2024-25. Now it is not always compulsory to add the data in the introduction because the body is going to be data heavy. So it's fine if you do not add any data in the introduction, but do have a connecting line between your introduction and the body. Okay, so let's start with the key trends in payment and settlement system witnessed during the 2024-25. So we are starting with the trends. So first of all, there is growth in transaction volume and payment volume and value in the payment and settlement system. In the payment and settlement system, there is growth in transaction volume and value. So the transaction volume has grown by 34.8% in 2024-25, and the transaction value through the payment and settlement system, this has increased, or this has grown by 17.3% in 2024-25. Now this growth that we have seen in the payment and settlement system, this is because of the RTGS, the real time gross settlement, especially in the value. So in the value, as you know, that the RTGS is a large value payment system. So the growth that we have seen in the value transaction, so that is because of the RTGS. Okay, digital payments. Now in the digital payments, the RTGS transactions increased by 12% in volume and 17.8% in value terms. So you can see that the RTGS transactions has increased. There is the increase in the transactions through the UPI system, and there is increase in the transactions through the NEFT system. Now I know that it will be very difficult for you to remember all these data points, so I'm not asking you to remember all of them. You can remember just the transaction volume and value, that is that has grown by 34.8% and 17.3% for the whole payment and settlement system. And you can remember the data for the UPI transaction and RTGS. If you forget the NEFT transaction data, fine, but at least remember some of the data to put there. Okay, in terms of volume, the UPI transactions had the highest share. So now this is the data that you need to remember, that the UPI transactions had the highest share in the total retail payments during 2024-25. And the next point is again very important, that the success of UPI placed India in a leadership position with a share of 48.5%. Nearly half of the global retail real-time payments by volume was related to India or was shared by India. Okay, so the success of UPI placed India in a leadership position with a share of 48.5% in global real-time payments by volume. Okay, so this is the idea. Now this is the data points that you can mention. As you know that in the payment system, these are the 6 categories that are involved, that are there in the payment system. Okay, now in the digital payment, when we talk about digital payment, so the large value transaction that is done through RTGS, the credit transfers, the debit transfers, the card payments, prepaid payment instruments, these all come in the digital transactions. But the RTGS is for the large value, and the rest are for the small value. These are for the small value transaction. Okay, so the data, you can select the data from here. I have given you all the important data points, so you can select the data from here so that you can remember some of the data that will look good in your answer. Okay, now coming to the next few points, that the PIDF. Now PIDF, that is Payment Infrastructure Development Fund. This is a very important fund that help in the development of the payment and settlement system. So the PIDF, this is the fund that subsidizes the deployment of the payment acceptance infrastructure. So the POS machines, the point of sale machines through which you swap your credit card or debit card, and the QR codes, so that are subsidized under the PIDF for the deployment. Okay, so here you can see that POS terminals have increased by 24.7%, while the UPI QR codes have increased by 91.5%. Nearly they have doubled, we can say. Okay, in March till March 31st, 2025. Project Nexus. So this is a very important project that the RBI has undertaken so that we can connect with the fast payment system of the other countries. So the UPI is the fast payment system of our country, and we want UPI to be connected to the other fast payment systems of the other country through a multilateral system, and that is Project Nexus. Okay, so the RBI has joined the Project Nexus and is actively collaborating with other countries on interlinking of the fast payment system, and through this Project Nexus, the fast payment system of India or the fast payment system of a country will be connected to the fast payment system of multiple countries. And the Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand and India, they are the founding member countries of this project nexus. Okay, next is authorization of new payment system. Again, there are multiple payment aggregators that have been allowed. The payment aggregators for the cross-border transactions, 5 new payment aggregators cross-border for the cross-border transaction have got the approval and such. So this is the data point. Again, not all you have to remember, just a few points you can remember from here. That one new TREDS platform has got. Now this is important because there was a news in regards to this also. Credex, I think that was the platform. So one TREDS platform has also got the approval from the Reserve Bank of India. Okay, so RBI is trying to boost the payment and settlement system by allowing multiple entities to get engaged in this payment and settlement system. Now coming to the body part 2.
So the body part 2 is major regulatory measures taken by the RBI. Let us go through it one by one. So the first important framework, of course, is UPI. Fine. So RBI has taken different steps in order to basically increase the limit with respect to UPI so that more and more people can access UPI and can reach and can extract its maximum benefit. For example, if we talk about UPI 123 Pay, which we all know is for those people who are not using smartphone. So UPI 123 Pay, what the RBI has done, basically it has increased the pre-transaction limit with respect to UPI 123 Pay basically from 5,000 to rupees 10,000, which is a good sign. The second is UPI Lite, which is the light version of UPI and is used to make small transactions. So basically for this also the UPI wallet limit has been increased, and also basically the overall per wallet limit has also been increased. So if you talk about the UPI wallet limit, it has been increased from rupees 500 to rupees 2,000. Fine. And if you talk about from 500 to rupees 1,000, and if you talk about the overall wallet limit, it has been increased from rupees 2,000 to rupees 5,000. So this is the I would say the boost that the RBI has given with respect to the UPI. The second is with respect to the global outreach and payment system. So over here what the RBI is doing, first of all, RBI is promoting the internationalization of UPI and the RuPay cards. Why RBI is doing that? So that if the Indian citizens, if they travel abroad, they will be in a good position to make transactions and they will be able to make smooth transactions at the international level in the different countries. Secondly, it will also help India to play a dominant role, to play a dominant position with respect to the fintech sector at the international level. So these are the reasons why RBI and the government are promoting these payment systems at the international level. So over here you can see that basically the UPI has been accepted by different type of countries, and the same case is with the RuPay cards also. For example, the countries like Bhutan and Mauritius, they have adopted this RuPay card. So it will become easy for the Indian people, the Indian citizens, to go and access these services abroad. So that is the significance of that. The third point is related to the auto replenishment of FASTags and National Common Mobility Card. So FASTag and NCMC, we know, I hope you know about NCMC. Basically that is used in order to pay for the transportation and also for other type of services, for example the shopping also. And what the RBI has done, basically it has enabled auto replenishment of the FASTags and NCMC. Basically the thing is that earlier what used to happen, suppose if you are using any kind of FASTag, so earlier you had to make your payment in a manual manner, but now what has happened, now let us say if you have decided any kind of specific type of threshold limit, for example the threshold limit is rupees 100, and let us say the balance that is available in your FASTag goes below 100. So what will happen? Automatically the money is going to get deducted from your bank account and your FASTag will be recharged automatically. So this is the provision, that has been happened, and this is what we understand by the auto replenishment of the FASTag, and the same case is with the NCMC also. I hope it is clear to you, the concept regarding the threshold payment. The next is regarding the B2B payments in Bharat bill payment system. So earlier what used to happen, it was available for B2C, which basically means that if the consumers want to pay their bills, they can use this Bharat bill payment system platform. But now if there is any kind of service provider, let us say there is a wholesaler, fine, there is a wholesaler and there is a retailer. A retailer has purchased something from wholesaler and it has to pay certain kind of bills, fine, it has to make certain kind of payments. So this retailer, who is a businessman, can make this can pay this payment to this wholesaler using this BBPS system, that is business to business. So that is something that has been enabled as a part of the RBI's initiatives. The next is introduction of delegated payment. Delegated payment basically is just other name for the UPI circle. So what happens as a part of UPI circle, for example, if there is a primary user who has a UPI account, let us say it is me. Fine. So I have a UPI account that is linked to my bank account. Now what I can do, I can authorize a secondary user also to use my UPI account so that he can make the transaction. Let us say if it is you and you want to give access to your child to use your UPI account so that he can make the transaction. So you can do that. Fine. So but there is some limit that is associated with it. Fine. But that is the provision that has been added. So this introduction of delegated payment through UPI or the UPI circle has been enabled for individuals, and that is going to make the UPI transaction more smooth. Fine. So that is again the idea with respect to delegated payments, so the UPI circle and the different type of initiatives that have been taken by RBI. Last, we have the conclusion. The performance of India's payment and settlement systems in financial year 24 to 25 reflects both quantitative as well as qualitative strengthening, with strong gains in transaction volumes. So as you remember, ma'am just discussed the transaction volumes and the transaction values. Fine. And the increased acceptance infrastructure and continuous technological innovation, India has emerged as a global leader in digital payments. Complementing this growth, the RBI's proactive regulatory stance through revised frameworks for RTGS, NEFT and domestic money transfers ensures systemic resilience, safety and trust. Going forward, what is the way forward? Sustained regulatory vigilance, innovation and inclusivity will remain central to consolidating the gains and preparing the ecosystem for the future challenges. Now the thing is that while discussing these questions, you must have felt that the points are very much lengthy, but my suggestion to you is that the points have been written in an elaborative manner for your own understanding. What you have to do, you have to filter out the relevant information and you have to make sure that you are writing the answer within proper word limit. That is extremely important, because in the exam also, when you will go to the examination, you will be having a lot of knowledge inside your brain, but what knowledge you are filtering out and expressing it in the form of your answer, it is very important in order to gather maximum marks. So this is something that I would like you to suggest. Fine. Now the question number 3, and this question number 3 is something that you have to, that is your homework question. The answer of this question you have to write in the comment box, not question number 1 and 2. Fine. Because this answer is going to get evaluated by our team if you are writing your answer within 48 hours. Fine. So this is the homework question. Please remember that. I hope you have watched the video till end, and that is the idea. And thank you so much for joining the session. That is it from my end. And Kritika ma'am, would you like to give any concluding message?
Just many of the students were requesting that they want a descriptive session, so we have brought the descriptive session. I hope you will utilize it in a good manner and you will write the answers, and we have given you 3 questions in the one session itself so that you can write your answers yourself and you can evaluate with the help of our team also the answer number 3 at least. And this is a very important session. I hope you know that the RBI annual report is important from objective as well as descriptive point of view. Okay, the full session has been taken before the 3-hour session that I have taken, but here we have given you the descriptive questions relevant from the exam point of view. Okay, the objective session I am going to bring soon, very soon, and I know many of you will comment, but you don't need to. I remember that I have to take a objective MCQ session also. Okay, so thank you everyone.
Also, if we feel that if there are any other important areas for which the descriptive sessions have to be conducted, we will take it in the future. Fine. So do not worry about it. So thank you so much and all the best, and please write answers and maintain the consistency. So goodbye and all the best.
Thank you everyone.